pleasure to meet y'all at last. And I've come back again on Why Is That? This is a Q&A session that's like no other. Instead of going with the traditional why questions, when questions, any of these traditional questions, I would instead focus on using why is that questions, and I would end up answering them depending on what questions that relate to why is that people end up asking me. YouTube commenters and Twitter users have asked me plenty of questions within the last 2 months, but there are only the lucky few that ended up getting themselves shoutouts to their accounts. Twitter or YouTube, did not matter which one. They ended up getting shoutouts to their accounts in the form of screenshots, which I'd place right down here, below me. And for today's question, we got ourselves a question that relates to my Twitter, and there actually have been plenty of questions that related to my Twitter, based on problems that I've had, based on anything in general with my Twitter account, or what has happened to me based on the history of my Twitter. Except this one's going to focus on another subject, which doesn't at all relate to any of the other subjects I have discussed. So the YouTube commenter who sent me this question asked me, why is that you have 2 Twitter accounts? And I do have 2 Twitter accounts, of course. I have Kaiju Force Neo, which is the original from August 12, 2006, and I have a second one right here, known as KFN 2.0, which I made back in September of 2018. And so, between the two, 12 years and 1 month apart those 2 accounts are. And I wouldn't really imagine that another 12 years and 1 month from now, December of 2030, would be where I would end up making a 3rd account, because there's more of a likelihood that I probably won't even do that, because 2 I think is good enough for me to handle. As it turns out, my first Twitter account had been bugging me around with the notifications and messages, of which I ended up responding to, of course, because that's how responsible I am. But give or take, my second account ends up doing the same thing, and that in turn would create twice the distractions from those accounts that I would end up having. Whereas with just 1 set of distractions I felt was enough, and now there's 2 sets of distractions. But I don't suppose distractions have nothing to do with the answer, so I'm going to move on. Now the reason why I have 2 accounts on Twitter is because 1 account preserves the very first date of which I made it, and the second one is because of a few simple reasons. Reason number 1, of course, is because of all those times that I bugged people about blocking me on Twitter. And I actually came across another question relating to blocking, but I will answer that in another time. All of those people on Twitter or YouTube that blocked me to the point of which that I would be emotionally broken down, and to the point at which I would be begging them to unblock me because they blocked me for no reasons, or possibly even very stupid reasons, 2 of which that they won't unblock me for any reason at all. I would, in fact, create myself a second account just so I would get around that situation, to the point at which I would make it feel like it never happened, like I never even met those guys on Twitter. Of which I am actually keeping myself away from those guys that have blocked my first account. So now my second account is on Twitter right now, and for those of you who are watching that have blocked my first account and are about to see my next account, then well, there's no way I'm going to be able to stop you. But there's always the chance that I could end up deleting my second account. There's a good chance I could just delete all of my accounts altogether. My YouTube account, my 2 Twitter accounts. That's 3 accounts I'm handling on the internet altogether. Now I know what you're thinking, that there's some given point in time in which that you might start crying out to me, and that's just my point to explain how stupid someone would end up being for thinking that I would just go ahead and delete my account. So, give or take, no stupid questions, okay? So, you don't have to start asking me about if I have any plans to delete my account or accounts, any one of the 3 that I have. My YouTube account, my 2 Twitter accounts are still going to be staying up, though I'm not so sure about my first one, because I have actually attached myself to my second account a little more often than not compared to my first. As with my YouTube account, I only have one, though there's a good chance that I would not make another YouTube account in contrast to Twitter. So that would be 4 accounts that I would be hassling over, and now it's just going to be 3. There's no chance for a 4th account of mine to handle. That would be a second YouTube account, which I won't end up making another YouTube account. That will be something for another day. That will be something I will not plan on doing. But what I do plan on doing is that with the 3 accounts that I have in total, my YouTube account and 2 Twitter accounts that is, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to do what I can to get myself followers and subscribers. Because that would be one big point as to how Twitter and YouTube works. Alongside with the fact that they are known as social media for a reason, I know how there's actually more points to it than just gaining attention and making new friends on Twitter and YouTube. But for my own sake, I'd more likely just stick to YouTube to gain myself more subscribers, because with how much work I've been putting in on my YouTube channel, it has been little more than just an all-for-nothing sort of span. And this is because of the fact that I'm suffering from a serious lack of credit, and I have actually talked about lack of credit on YouTube for so long now. I know I could put in some more time, but the fact is I have more than 500 videos on my channel, at least 515 videos at this point. And I know for a fact that there's hardly any views on a lot of my more recent videos. Because give or take the fact that many of my older videos have been viewed countless times by many YouTubers out there, there might not be a very good chance that it might happen today. And it's all because of that 5.5 year long darkness period that I immersed myself within. But that's been over for months now. Since June or July was where I stopped that darkness period, and now I'm just back full on at full throttle. But, of course, I just have 2 Twitter accounts, not just because people have been blocking me on my first one, and now I have a second one to make it look like I never even met those guys. And I don't have myself a second Twitter account just to have myself another set of followers, but I do have myself a little more fair share on both of my Twitter accounts than you can probably imagine. And so, you pretty much just get the idea as to how having multiple accounts can have such a play going forward. And if you want to see more go down on my channel, make sure that you like, subscribe, comment, follow me on social media, and stay on the Hollywood side.